All right, good morning, everyone. It is an incredible schus to be here with all of you this morning. Always a big schus to participate in anything that Ma'alot does, Rosh Hashana, the WITS does. I had the great opportunity to teach here for a couple of years, which was always a highlight of my day, a highlight of my week. And it's always beautiful to see just the Beis Medrash filled with such an incredible group of young women, with such promise, with such potential. It certainly gives one incredible hope for the future of Klal Yisrael as well. So it's also a privilege to be able to spend a little bit of time preparing for Rosh Hashana. You know, in life, the most important thing is that the impact of any experience is directly related to how much you prepare for that experience. So one of the first earliest examples, right? Who could point me to an example? Where do we see that Chazal tell us that the more you prepare for something, the more impactful the experience is? Shabbos, good, beautiful. Kol HaTorech, right? Kol HaTorech be'erev Shabbos yochal b'Shabbos, right? If you toil on erev Shabbos, on Shabbos, good. Where else? Even earlier, that's Gemara Masech Shabbos, beautiful. Even earlier than that, one of the first examples we have of the power of preparation. I'm sorry. So there's a beautiful Gemara Masech Brachos. The Gemara says, Chasidim harishonim hayushohim sha'achas kodim hatfila. The early pious ones, shohin. How would you translate the word shohin? Like shaha, shin hey hey. Wait, it literally means to wait, to do nothing. But of course, on a deeper level, Chasidim Arishonim shohin sha'achas kodem hatfila meant that they used to prepare for an hour before davening. Now, what does that mean to prepare for an hour before davening? I don't know, maybe it means Tehillim, I don't know what it means. But here's what I know it means. In other words, I don't know what they did to prepare, but clearly what the Gemara is trying to express to us is that if you want to have a meaningful tefillah experience, one thing is clear. I can't roll out of bed and roll into davening. That for sure doesn't work. And by the way, it's not just true for davening, it's true for everything in life. If you want an impactful experience, whether it's in your ruchnius or one day in your careers, if you choose to have one, at the end of the day, success is always tethered to preparation. The more I prepare, the more successful and impactful the experience is. And if it's true by tefillah, and if it's true by Shabbos, then Allah has kama v'kama all the more so, it is true by the Yamim Noraim. That to be able to have a meaningful Rosh Hashana, today we'll focus more on Rosh Hashana, but to be able to have a meaningful Rosh Hashana requires preparation. And not just preparation, you know how often things work, right? When Chodesh Elul comes, how do we think, right? What goes through your mind? Chodesh Elul comes, and what's going through your mind? I'm sorry? Okay, we're going to change that. Amir Tzashem. Good. What else goes through your mind? I have the whole Elul. I have the whole Elul, right? And it's the best feeling of the world, because especially like this year, where Elul really was at the end of the summer. You know, sometimes Elul comes, and it's the summertime, and to be honest, it's very hard to get into Elul when it's the summer. Vacation, relaxing, laid back, everything is... But this year was great. It was so good. Elul was at the end of August. It was fantastic. Like, I have a whole month. The summer's over. I relaxed. I'm rejuvenated. I'm recharged. I have a whole month. Great. Then what happens? Rosh Hashana comes. Right? Or let's take today. Here we stand just a few days before Rosh Hashana. Raise your hand if you've accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish this Elul. And it's not gaiva. If you really did it, raise your hand. Exactly. I'm assuming you're not just being an anav over here, but really, just the dynamic is, the month comes, the month goes, and the truth is, I have not accomplished the things I want to accomplish. And kind of it's just human nature, and it's not because I'm lazy, and it's not because I don't care, and it's not because it's not important. It's just like life kind of gets in the way, stuff gets in the way, whatever else comes up. So now I'm a couple of days before Rosh Hashana, and there's still time. There's still time to prepare. This is really important, because the worst thing I could do, not the worst thing, but something that's really detrimental, is to walk into Rosh Hashana with no preparation. Ideally, I should walk into Rosh Hashana with a month of preparation. The truth is, I should walk into Rosh Hashana with more than a month of preparation. How much preparation should I walk into Rosh Hashana with? A year, good, excellent, right? A year of preparation, that's the ideal. All right, I don't get a year of preparation, at least a month. But sometimes I don't even have a month. Elul came, Elul went, and I haven't done, but it's okay. It's Thursday, Erev Shabbos, right? The last Shabbos of the year, Parshas Nitzavim. Rosh Hashana is not till Sunday night. One could accomplish so much in just a couple of days. So even if I haven't maximized my preparation up until this point, the question is, how do I maximize my preparation over the next few days? So I want to show you something interesting on the sheets, on the Marmakomos, on the source sheet that I gave you. I want to go a little bit out of order. If you take a look at number 5 on the sheet, so there's an incredible Gemara in Maseches Yuma. Fascinating Gemara. Tan Rabbanon. Averos she'isvad alein Yom Kippurim zeh, lo yisvad alein Yom Kippurim acher. V'im shana bahen, tzarech le'isvad es Yom Kippurim acher. So listen to this. I'll tell you this outside a little bit because I think it's a riveting machlokas. Here's the following case. We're about to enter into Rosh Hashana 5783. Tavshin Pei Gimel Haba Alinu L'Tova. So imagine for a moment, again, last Rosh Hashana, 5782, I did tshuva for a particular Aveira. I did an Aveira. Let's call it, I stole. Just use that as an example. I stole. I'm a thief. So last year Rosh Hashana, I did tshuva for the Aveira of theft that I committed in 5781. Good, following the timeline, right? So work forward. 5781 I stole, right? Rosh Hashana 5782 I did tshuva, and what's the good news? 5782 I didn't steal. I did a lot of other averas, but I didn't steal. So now, what's the shaila the Gemara is dealing with? What's the question? Comes Rosh Hashana 5783, do I still have to do tshuva for the act of theft or not? I didn't repeat the Avera in the past year. Do I have to do tshuva for it this year? So if I were to throw this out to you, what do you think? I didn't commit the Avera. Again, I did it in 5781. Did tshuva on Rosh Hashanah 5782. Did not repeat the Avera in 5782. And Rosh Hashanah 5783. Do I have to do tshuva for the sin of theft? What would you say? No. Why not? Because, right. Excellent. Good. Book is closed. I did tshuva. Everyone agree with that? Give you a hint. This is one of these great questions where there's no wrong answer. Right? There's no wrong answer. It's a machlokes in the Gemara. It's a machlokes. So the Gemara number 5 says, Averos that you did tshuva on, that you did not repeat, you do not have to do tshuva for again. And in fact, the Gemara says, and if you do tshuva for it, if you mention it again, Allah v'akasav omer kekelev shav al keo ksil shona bivalto. What is it like? You'll excuse the imagery. It's like a dog eating its vomit. Right? In other words, that you did tshuva for it already. You did tshuva for it. Let it go. Let it go. Be done with it. Second opinion, Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Omer, last 2 lines, number 5. Kol shekin shu meshubach shene'emar ki pesha'ayani eda v'chatosi negdi sam. According to the words of David HaMelech, Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says, no. You always have to do tshuva for Averas. Even if you did not repeat it again, even if I didn't repeat the Avera again, once you did it, you have to perpetually do tshuva for it. And again, he quotes the pasuk, "V'chatosi negdi samid." My sin, my avera, is always opposite me. A fundamental machlokes. And by the way, this machlokes is one of those machlokesim that fundamentally shapes how we do tshuva. According to the first opinion, the only things I have to do tshuva for are really the things I did last year. Last year. Anything before last year, I don't have to do tshuva for. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, not true. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is essentially, I have to keep like a running list of averos. I haven't committed this particular avera for 5 years. Baruch Hashem, you know, the way it works in the world of sin. You're a group of Nashim Tzidkanios, so you wouldn't know this. So I'll explain it to you. Right? The way it works in the world of sin is we never stop sinning. We just kind of change orientations, right? So in other words, that Avera, that's a past Avera. So I move past, man always sins. So we just sin in different ways. So according to Rabbi ben Yaakov, whatever you've done over your lifetime, a person has to keep a running tally of that and continuously do tshuva even for things I've not repeated in the last year. Fundamental machlokes. And again, sometimes you see a machlokes and it's interesting, but this is a machlokes that fundamentally changes how one does tshuva. So how do we paskin? So look at number 6, the Rambam. Rambam, you know, has Hilchos Tshuva. has Hilchos Tshuva. And beautifully enough, there are 10 chapters of Hilchos Tshuva. Very beautiful practice that many people have is to learn one parak of Hilchos Tshuva every day of Aseres Yimei Tshuva. And the Rambam literally teaches us, the Yad HaChazaka, Mishnah Torah, teaches us the halachas of doing Tshuva. Sometimes we kind of look at Tshuva like Bederech or through the lens of Hashkafa. And while it's true, there are many Hashkafic aspects to Tshuva, there's also Hilchos Tshuva. How you do Tshuva, what you have to do Tshuva for, what the mechanism of Tshuva is. So the Rambam writes in number 6, Havidoi, skip down a little bit to the end of the first line. Averus, Shisvada aleim biyom kippurim zeh, Chozer umisvada aleim biyom kippurim acher. The Rambam paskins like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Incredible. Namely, that even if I did not repeat the Avera this past year, I still have to do Tshuva for it. That's how the Rambam paskins. So I have to keep a running tally of my Averos, and ultimately do tshuva for everything I've done in the past. He goes on, he says, V'afal pi, shomid b'tshuvaso. Even though, again, I did tshuva for theft in the last year, Rosh Hashana 5782, and I did not repeat the Aveira, I did not commit all this entire year, the Rambam still says, you still have to do tshuva for it. If you look at 7, there's a beautiful parish on the Rambam called the Divrei Yirmiyahu. And I put a little biography over here. You can see Rabbi Yirmiyahu who lived from 1811 to 1864. So the Divrei Yirmiyahu says, why? Why is it that I have to keep in mind all of my Averas? I have to tell you, how does this Rambam make you feel? How does it make you? This isn't a therapy session, but how does it make you feel? Right? How do you feel about that Rambam?
Overwhelmed.
What? Say it again? Overwhelmed. It's so heavy. It's so heavy. What the Rambam is saying is, I have to carry the burden of my collective Averos from my youth till present. I haven't done some of these things for years, Baruch Hashem. Right? I've grown out of certain things. I've grown past certain things. Rambam says, no, got to keep it with you. It's an overwhelming Rambam. It's a heavy Rambam. So the Yirmiyahu says, Rambam, why? First of all, it also seems like the ways of the Torah are pleasant. You know, this is always very important. If something in Yiddishkeit makes you miserable, chances are you're doing it wrong. Everything in Yiddishkeit is beautiful. The ways of the Torah are pleasant. The Ribono Shel Olam loves us. He wants our Yiddishkeit to be something uplifting, meaningful, and impactful. And if it brings you down, I'm telling you, you're doing it wrong, or you're misunderstanding something. So the Divrei Yirmiyahu says, what's going on over here? And he says something very profound. Look at number 7. He says, Kimosh chasev shatshuva leisnachem ala avar, v'hatzar al ha'avar, yatzileu mila'avor lahaba. He says something so profound. He says, because the only way to ensure that you don't repeat the sins of the past is to remember the pain that they caused you. You know, it's interesting. You could tell a child not to touch something hot. Right? Every parent tells you not to touch something hot. And almost every single child never learns that lesson until when? They touch something hot. It's just the way human nature is. I can know intellectually that something is incorrect, something is wrong. But until I experience it and feel the pain of it, somehow it just doesn't set in. So the Divrei Yirmiyahu says, you know, girls, you're young, so you have very little life experience most probably. But as you get older, you will see that there are times in life that we make very painful mistakes. Very painful mistakes. And what the Divrei Yirmiyahu says is, as painful as it is to carry that pain around with you, it's so important to do so. Because when you remember the pain of that mistake, I know I'll never do that again. Because I know how it felt to make that mistake. I know the residual damage. I know the difficulties that it caused, perhaps for myself and for others. So the Divrei Yirmiyahu says, as much as it is to take all of the Averos in the past with you, take them. Because by remembering the pain of the past, you will go ahead and ensure that you will not repeat those same mistakes again. An incredibly profound idea. Does this make you feel any better about the Rambam? So some yes, some no, right? It gives me perspective of the Rambam, but I will tell you, when I read this piece by the Rambam, again, I still feel overwhelmed by this. I still feel, because I'm going to be honest with you. I think about, like, if I have to go back and literally make an accounting of all of my Averis, it's overwhelming. I understand why the Rambam wants me to do it. I get it. Now I understand it. But it doesn't take away from the enormity of that task. And the feeling when I think about it, it makes me feel sad. It makes me feel overwhelmed. And it makes me feel like I'm struggling to get out of under a burden that I'm never going to get out of. So perhaps there's another way to understand this Rambam as well. So we're going to go on a little bit of a detour. Go back now to number 1. Right? Rosh Hashana. The essence of Rosh Hashana is the essence of Rosh Hashana is, let's try it once more. The essence of Rosh Hashana is a Yom Adin. Rosh Hashana at its core, right? When Rosh Hashana is introduced to us, the first time we ever meet Rosh Hashana is in Meseches Rosh Hashana. Makes sense? That's source number 1 on your sheet. Source number 1. The Mishnah says, Ba'arba prakim ha'olam nidon. The world is judged at 4 different intervals. B'Pesach ala tvua, ba'atzeres al peiros ha'ilon. On Pesach, we're judged regarding the amount of wheat the earth is going to produce. On Shavuos, the fruits of the tree. The Mishnah then goes on to say, on Sukkot, the amount of rainfall. And B'Rosh Hashana, kol ba'ei olam ovrim lefanav kibnei maron. On Rosh Hashanah, all of the inhabitants of the world come before Hashem kibnei maron. How do you translate bnei maron? Sheep. So the truth is, there are 3 different opinions in the Gemara. Ke'malos beis maron, ke'chayalos beis David, and ke'imra, like sheep. We'll just go with the sheep. We'll go with the sheep for now. What does it mean that we come before Hashem like sheep? So the Gemara describes the imagery. There's a concept called Meiser Behema. You have to tithe. Take 1/10 of your animals and give it to the Kohen. So if you're a shepherd, this is good to know in case any of you choose shepherding. I don't think that's offered. Right? Mashiach comes, I'm sure they're going to reintroduce shepherding. Right? So how do you take Meiser Behema? You corral all of your sheep into a pen. You make one small opening. The sheep come out one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 10 comes out. The shepherd is there with a little red paintbrush, puts a little bit of red. That's the Meiser Behema. So the imagery that the Gemara is saying is, on Rosh Hashanah, we come before Hashem kibnei maron, one by one. So there's a couple of things the Gemara is introducing us to. First of all, in general, Yiddishkeit operates with the principle that there is safety in numbers. What does it mean there's safety in numbers? Whenever I could embed myself as part of a tzibur, as part of a kehila, as part of a community, as part of a klal, that's always best. Always best. Why? Because as an individual, I may not have the requisite zechuyos to be able to get what it is that I need. But if I link myself to Am Yisrael, if I link myself, again, for a man it's a minyan, right? For a woman it could be any construct, cohort of Klal Yisrael, suddenly again that's a force multiplier. Suddenly again, I don't just have my zechuyos, but I have the zechuyos of the collective to help tilt the scales in my favor. That works 363 days a year. There are 2 days, really 1 day, but we'll call 2 days. Rosh Hashanah now is 2 days. Tuesdays it doesn't work. Rosh Hashana. Rosh Hashana, the experience is one of a singular, solitary one. Even though we're davening together as a tzibur, and even though, again, vidui, for example, is expressed in the plural, right? Avinu, Malkeinu is says. So, nevertheless, the core experience of Rosh Hashanah is a solitary one. It's me and the Ribono Shel Olam. That's it. Me and Hashem. And we come before Hashem one by one. There's no numbers. There's no group. There's not I'm going with my friend. I'm going with my family. There's nothing. I go myself. Why am I coming before Hashem? For din. For judgment. The ikr of Rosh Hashanah is a day of judgment. Everything else that flows out to be Mamlech Hashem, right? Malchias, Zichronos, and Shofros, all of that flows out of the construct of Rosh Hashanah as a Yom Hadin. Day of judgment. Now, what's the difficulty with the day of judgment? Anyone here like to be judged? No? We love to judge, right? But we generally do not like to be judged. And this is what makes Rosh Hashanah a little bit of an uncomfortable experience. I don't want to be judged. The reason I really don't want to be judged is because I actually don't know if I merit good judgment. I don't know. I don't know that I'm always proud of the life that I lived. I don't know that I'm always proud of the things that I've done. And so I dislike judgment. Now the beautiful part is we're judged by the Ribono Shel Olam, who loves us more than we could ever imagine, who wants us to be more successful than we want success for ourselves. A Ribono Shel Olam who does anything and everything to allow us to self-actualize and to allow us to be happy in life. So although no one likes judgment, there's a nechama in knowing that I'm being judged by a father who loves me more. My mind, the human mind, cannot grasp the enormity of the love that the Ribono Shel Olam has for us. So now that we look at Rosh Hashana as a day of judgment, I have one simple goal in Rosh Hashana. What's my one simple goal in Rosh Hashana? One simple goal. Tshuva. What's the problem with tshuva? Well, let me rephrase that. There's no problem with tshuva. Right? What's the problem with saying that tshuva is the avodah of Rosh Hashana? Right. First of all, tshuva is Yom Kippur. I started saying tshuva. Right. There actually is there's no reference to tshuva over the course of Rosh Hashana, with the exception of Avinu Malkeinu. Right. Aside from that, there's no real tshuva. So what's my goal in Rosh Hashana? What's my goal? Right. If ultimately, again, now we've established that the essence of Rosh Hashana is a Yom Adin, is a day of judgment. What's my goal? Favorable judgment. That's it. That's it. Again, if you want to boil everything down to just a core piece, sometimes what happens is we come into Rosh Hashana kind of like Elul also, and we're like overwhelmed by the enormity of the experience. And sometimes what happens when people get overwhelmed by things? Right? They don't do anything, which is like a great anomaly. I'm so overwhelmed by all the possibilities that I do nothing. And sometimes this happens over Yamim Noraim. Like it's overwhelming. There's Malchus, there's Zechron. What does it mean to be Mamlech Hashem, accept Hashem? But what about Shuk? So let's distill it down. Rosh Hashanah is a day of judgment. And if it's a day of judgment, I have one simple goal. I want favorable judgment. That's what I want. And by the way, we see this, right? Remember again, what do we wish each other for, right? What do we say? On Rosh Hashanah night, we don't say, you should be zocheh to be mamlech Hashem. Get Yom Tiv, be zocheh to be mamlech Hashem, right? What do we say? Ksiva chasima tova. That's it. That's it. Everything else flows from that. We want to be inscribed in the Sefer HaChaim. I want a favorable judgment. Whatever favorable means, that's what I want. So therefore the question becomes very simple. How do we obtain favorable judgment in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? How are we zocha? How are we zocha to find favorable judgment? So I want to share with you something amazing. There is a story of a man who once went over to Rav Avigdor Miller, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. So I'm sure you've heard of Rav Avigdor Miller. Rav Avigdor Miller was one of the great Torah personalities of the last generation, of the last century. He died not so long ago, in 2000, 2001. So Rav Avigdor Miller was one of those people, one of those Gedolim who was responsible for building Torah in America after the Holocaust. Right? America, you see, today you look at America, and Baruch Hashem, like America has sprouted such a robust Torah presence. After the war, it wasn't like that. So you had people like Rav Avigdor Miller, like Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, like Rav Aaron Kotler, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, and others, who went ahead and took it upon themselves to build Torah here in America. So the story that's told that one time a man went over to Rav Avigdor Miller, who was already older, and he said, Rabbi, I have a question. How can I be successful in the din of Rosh Hashana? So he asked Rav Avigdor Miller, I want to be, I heard the shir, I know Rosh Hashanah is a Yom Adin, I want to be successful in judgment. How can I be successful? Rav Avigdor Miller pauses for a second and he says, smile. Rav Avigdor Miller was already older by then. The man assumed that Rav Avigdor Miller didn't hear the question. So you know how sometimes when someone doesn't speak English, you think that if you talk loud and slow, somehow they're going to understand English, right? So the man goes back to Rav Avigdor Miller and he says, Rabbi, how can one be zocha to positive judgment on Rosh Hashana? Rav Avigdor Miller says, smile. He sees the man is confused. So Rav Avigdor Miller says, I think you think I didn't hear your question. I heard your question. I understand your question. And my answer is the same. If you want to be successful in Din on Rosh Hashana, you have to smile. Rabbi Dimas, let me give you a mashal. And he gave such a beautiful mashal. He said, imagine for a moment that there's a man who owns a series of franchises. He owns a bunch of stores. Now, over the course of the year, those stores operate independently. Each of them has their own manager. They do their thing. At the end of the fiscal year, the owner, who owns all of the franchises, sits down with his accountant. And he says, let's go through each branch and figure out what's happening in each branch. So they take a look at the first branch, and they realize, you know what? That branch, they're understaffed. That's why they're not producing. We have to hire more people over there. Okay, branch number 2, the truth is they do terrible marketing. We have to increase their marketing budget and go ahead and get the word out. Branch number 3, they don't have enough product diversity. They don't carry enough stuff. We have to really go ahead and stock their shelves a little bit better. They come to branch number 4. They see branch number 4 is overstaffed. Payroll is too high. So what do? They call in the branch manager and they say, look, let's go through your employee roster and let's identify who's essential, who's non-essential, who's doing a job, who's not doing a job, and we have to cut down payroll a little bit. So they go through person by person by person. They come to one of the last guys on the list. They ask the manager, what does this guy do? What are his responsibilities in the store? So the manager says, the truth is, he doesn't do that much in the store. Other people do this, other people do that. Well, so if that's the case, we're going to have to cut him. We're going to have to go ahead and lay him off. To which the manager says, no. You can't lay that guy off. Not that guy. He doesn't do that much in the store. Like, he's not stocking shelves. He's not working a register. He's not counting inventory. But what he does is he stands at the front door. And whenever customers come in, he greets them with such a smile, such a shalom aleichem, such a hello, offers to help them. The guy doesn't know where anything is in the store, but he offers to help them. And the moment they walk in, he gives them such a positive store experience. You can't lay off that guy. That guy we need. Said Rav Avigdor Miller something so beautiful. We often think that the goal in our Yiddishkeit is to become the best version of ourselves. And that's where accomplishment begins, and that's where accomplishment ends. That is an element of accomplishment. But there's another dimension of accomplishment. What do you bring to the life of the other? How do you contribute and enhance the quality of life of those around you? Do you infuse simcha into your family, into your friends, into your community? Is your life a life lived for yourself? Or do you somehow find the ability to be value added to the lives of those around you? You see, the Ribono Shel Olam comes, Rosh Hashana, said Rav Avigdor Miller, is looking at the franchises. And he's looking at the employee lists. And if I could demonstrate that I am value added to the divine franchise, and what does it mean to be value added? That I don't just matter for me, I matter for other people. I make a difference in other people's lives. Specifically, I bring simcha to someone else's life. I enhance someone else's quality of life. Rav Avigdor Miller said, if you do that, then you're like employee of the month in the franchise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You may not get a parking spot, but you get a favorable judgment. A striking story. And what a different way to look at Rosh Hashana. That somehow what Rav Avigdor Miller was saying is, shift the focus. It's not about me. It's not about me. Or I should say, my success is not just gauged in my own personalistic accomplishments. My success is fundamentally tethered to the positive impact I have on the life of another. Do I bring simcha to someone else in this world? Do I put a smile on someone else's face? Or at least, am I the kind of person who wears a smile on my own face? You know, how do you feel when you see someone smiling? How do you feel? Feel good. You feel good. Happiness is contagious, right? You feel, when you see someone, that's why Chazal said, having mekabel kol adam b'sever panim yafos. What a strange halacha. I have to greet everyone with a smiling countenance. Why? I feel terrible today. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm bitter. But I have to put on a smile? Yes, because your face is Rishus Harabim. Your face is the public domain. And how you wear that face doesn't just impact you, but impacts others as well. How do you secure a favorable judgment? At the end of the day, says Rav Avigdor Miller, by bringing simcha to someone else. And how do you bring simcha to someone else? It's as simple as wearing a smile on your face. You want positive judgment, smile. I was thinking about this a little bit. Because this notion of bringing simcha to other people is a complicated thing. You know, in life, as you get older, you will find, when you're young, other people are responsible for your happiness. Right? That's the way it works, right? Children, so I have to make my child happy. As I try to make my child happy, as we get older, we recognize a very important life lesson. No one can make me happy but me. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice. And it's a terrible, terrible thing when people outsource their happiness to others or to other things. You hear this all the time. I'll be happy when. And you can fill in the blank. I'll be happy when I find a career. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I have children. I'll be happy. That's very dangerous. Because if you live a life of I'll be happy when, there's always something else you're going to want, always something else you're going to need. And that means you'll never be happy if your happiness is tethered to something external to you. Happiness is a choice. And here what we're being introduced to is my favorable judgment is directly related to my ability to make someone else happy. So how do you make someone else happy? So look at the Gemara. Look at the Gemara in number 2. An incredible, incredible Gemara. Rabbi Baroka Choza Havishriach B'Shukei de Beilev. This is a famous Gemara. Gemara Maseches Taanis. Rabbi Baroka was in the marketplace in Beilefet. Who does he run into in the marketplace of Beilefet? None other than Eliyahu Hanavi. Okay, runs into Eliyahu in the marketplace. Amr Lei, Ika B'Hai Shulka Ba'Armadasi. He asks Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu, are there any people who have a portion in Olam Haba here in the marketplace? Anyone here who has a portion in the world to come? So I'll tell you something, I didn't put this on the sheet, but at first Eliyahu Hanavi says, no, there's no one currently here who has a portion in the world to come, which is an interesting statement by itself, but not a topic for today. Then Eliyahu Hanavi says, wait, those two guys who just walked in, those guys, Hanach Nami B'nei Amada Asininu, those two guys who just walked into the marketplace, they have a portion in the world to come. Rabbi Baroka runs over to them, third line up from the bottom of number 2. Azul Gabayhu. Amru Mayov Daichu. So Rabbi Baroka says to these guys, what do you do? What do you do that you have a portion in the world to come? Amrulei, Inshi Beduche Anon. Inshi Beduche Anon means literally, I don't know the good English translation for this, but Baduche, Badiach is a joke. Anshe Baduche Anon, we make jokes. We make jokes. Doesn't mean we make jokes. Mebadchinon Atzivi. We make sad people happy. I don't know, stand-up comics, I don't know what they were, right? But we make sad people happy. That's what we do. That's what we do. So out of an entire marketplace of people, Rabbi Baroka asks, Eliyahu Hanavi, who are Bnei Olam Haba? Eliyahu Hanavi says, no one. Then two guys walk in, two comics, two jesters, two guys who make people happy. They are the Bnei Olam Haba. Incredible. Once again, the power of making someone else happy. But look what Rashi says. Rashi HaKadosh in number 3 says something absolutely amazing. Baduchei, smeichim, u'mesamchim b'nei Adam. How would you translate that phrase? Smeichim, u'mesamchim b'nei Adam. They're happy, and they make other people happy. To which Rashi HaKadosh just changed our lives in such a dramatic way. Rashi says that before you could make anyone else happy, what's the prerequisite to making others happy? You must be a happy person yourself. Smeichim u'mesamchim b'nei Adam. They're happy, and therefore once they were happy, they can make other people happy. Incredible. You can't put a smile on someone else's face unless there's a smile on yours. You can't spread simcha unless you first have a sense of simcha in yourself. which then leads us to the next question. So how do I find happiness? How do I find simcha in life? So take a look, one more Gemara. Number 4. Gemara Maseches Megillah. This past week, past Shabbos, we're at Parshas Kisavo. Parshas Kisavo contains the Tochacha. Right? And when you read the Tochacha, the Psukim that detail the curses for non-compliance with the Ratzon Hashem. And the truth is, the Tochacha is overwhelming. The Tochacha is straight out scary. There's a reason we read it in an undertone, right? Again, sometimes we're like a little bit callous to it, or a little bit deaf to it. But the Tochacha is Rebbeinu Shalom telling us, Pepeh Maleh, complete disclosure. What happens if Klal Yisrael does not follow the chosen path? And the most horrific of curses, the most horrific klalos. And it always bothered me, why read this right before Rosh Hashana? Like, if you think about it, right, if someone were to ask you, what's the last thing we should read during Chodesh Elul leading up to Rosh Hashana, it would be, I'll give you a hint, the Tochacha, right? The Tochacha. In other words, give me something upbeat. Give me something, like, by the way, Parashas Nitzavim, this week's Parasha, such an upbeat Parasha. Moshe Rabbeinu is filling us with optimism, with hope, with possibilities. It's great. It puts me in the right frame of mind. But you're going to read the Tochacha right before Rosh Hashanah is such a strange thing. So the Gemara addresses this dynamic in number 4. So the Gemara says, why do we read the Tochacha? Tanya, Rabbi Shimon Elazar Omer. Rabbi Shimon Elazar says as follows. Why do we read the Tochacha? He says, my time, second line, number 4. Amar Abai V'Tanu Shlagish, Kedei Shetichla Hashana V'Kil Losel. Literally translated, it means, let the year and its curses end. As the year ends, let the curses end with it. It's almost like, let's finish up the year, let's finish up the klalos, and that's it. Which is interesting. What does that mean? What does that mean? Let's put the curses behind. I guess what it means is, let's put the curses behind us so that we could go ahead and embrace a new year of bracha. And the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says something absolutely amazing. The Baal Shem Tov says, what it means is, Kedei Shetichla Shana V'Kil Losel. To go ahead and put the year and its curses behind us, the Rebbe says, means, I have to learn to let go of the negativity. The klalos, at the end of the day, says Baal Shem Tov, means the negativity in life. And the Rebbe explains something so beautiful. That sometimes we go through life with such negativity. Such negativity. You'll ask, where do we have negativity from? Where don't we have negativity from? Right? There's negativity that we feel towards others. We've all been hurt by someone. We've all been hurt by someone. It's just the nature of the world. Sometimes it's intentionally, sometimes it's unintentionally. So I have negativity in that. I have negativity towards you. You hurt me. So I have negativity. I have negativity towards you. Sometimes, if we're honest, we have negativity towards the Ribono Shel Olam. Right? This is uncomfortable for us to talk about theologically, but it's important to recognize that sometimes there is negativity towards Hashem. Why do people sometimes have negativity towards Hashem? Why?
They feel they don't get what they want.
They feel they don't get what they want, or I would even change the word want to what they deserve. Or to what I do everything you ask of me. I do it. I go above and beyond. And there are certain basic things in my life that I feel, to be honest, I've earned. I'm not asking for a super yacht, right? I'm not asking to win the lottery. I'm asking for simple things. And I don't understand why you, the Melech Malchei HaMelechim, I don't understand why you don't come through. We often don't articulate it because it's uncomfortable to talk about. But for many of us, it lives in our heart. And by the way, I just want to point out to you, you should never feel guilty when you feel that way. That's normal and it's natural. And I'll give you the raya to it. There's a fascinating halacha. When a person loses a loved one for whom they're obligated to mourn, the period between death and burial is called aninos. And during aninos, there's a fascinating halacha. A person is exempt from all mitzvos aseh, all positive commandments. All positive commandments, which means no brachas, no davening. Such a strange thing. I've just encountered death. Death should create the exact opposite. Death reminds us we're not in control. I should be running to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so the Mefarshim explains something so beautiful, which is that after the death of a loved one, sometimes a person feels wronged by the Ribono Shel Olam. I don't understand why you did this. I don't. I'm in so much pain. I'm so broken. I'm so upset. This person was good. All the different things. Chazal understood this. So what did Chazal give us? A little bit of a divine breather. You're in pain. You're in pain. Don't engage right now. You know, the worst thing you could do with someone who you're upset with is what? Well, sometimes the worst thing you could do when you're very upset with someone is talk to them, right? Sometimes I just need a moment. I'll be all right. I'll get it together. And Chazal gave us that. Chazal understood that sometimes, as awkward as it sounds to say, I feel wronged by the Ribono Shel Olam. I know that I'm not. I know, if you ask my intellect, I know HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves me, and there's a plan that's bigger than me, and I don't understand how the Ribono Shel Olam runs the world. I don't. My head, I know it all. But my heart is broken in a million pieces, and I'm upset, and I'm disillusioned, and I'm hurt, because I thought we had a relationship. And I thought that I give you so much, Chesed Baruch Hu, and I don't think I ask for all that much in return. Sometimes we carry around baggage and negativity towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We carry around baggage and negativity towards others. We carry around theological baggage, negativity towards Hashem. And sometimes, whether we realize it or not, we carry around negativity towards ourselves. You're young, so you may not be able to relate to this right now. But one day you'll say, I remember that Rosh Hashana Yom Yun, where Shmuel Silber was talking about that thing that I could not understand what he was talking about, and now I get it. We go through life, and sometimes we have negativity towards ourselves. Why? Because many times in life I don't accomplish things. Things that are important, things that I should have, things that I promised myself I would. And kind of the reflexive reaction when you don't accomplish something, right? What's the reflexive reaction whenever something doesn't go right? The reflexive reaction?
Feel down.
I'm sorry? You feel down. Good. After you feel down, what happens next?
You get upset at yourself.
Right? I'm sorry?
Get upset at yourself.
Get upset at yourself. Good. So, okay, you're a very idealistic group, right? So before you get upset, most times, people assign blame to someone else. Not my fault. Not my fault. I saw this, by the way, at a kiddush the other week. There were two people. One guy bumped into another guy, right? And the guy, one guy was holding a bottle, a cup of soda, and the soda spilled on his shirt. And the bumper, I'll call him the bumper, the guy bumped. The first says, not my fault. I was like, wow. Not my fault. It was incredible. That happens to also be an attorney. So that is a lot I think it was all like in one. Not my fault. I was like, incredible. That's how we're wired. That's how we're wired. So, not my fault. My mother didn't love me enough. My father wasn't home enough. My teachers weren't attentive enough. My seminary was too big. It was too small. It was too this. It was too that. There's 1,000,001 different reasons we give for our failures. But then as we become a little bit more mature, we begin to realize the buck of my life stops with me. Stops with me. My failures are mine. My failures are mine. And failures come in different shapes and sizes. Sometimes failures means literally a failure. Sometimes a failure means a failure to take advantage of a life opportunity. You know, when I was a kid, I don't know if they have it anymore. When I was a kid, they used to have these choose your own adventure books. Where, right, you'd read the book, right? You'd get to the middle of the book, if you want Johnny to go, left, Bracha Simel to go left, right? And you turn to page 22. You want it to go right, you turn to page 76. And as I got older, I realized those books are such an incredible metaphor for life. Because so often in life, I'm at a juncture, and I have to make a decision to go right or to go left. And as you get older, you realize I've made some really poor decisions in life. I've just made poor decisions. I objectively, bad decisions. Sometimes you make decisions that are in retrospect bad, but I made the best decision I could at the time. Right? You can only make a decision based on the knowledge you have at hand. So sometimes it turns out that it was the wrong decision. Okay, that you can't necessarily plan for. But sometimes in life, I actually just make bad decisions. Yes?
Are you supposed to embrace all your failures?
Good. We're going to get to that in just a second. Hold on for just a moment. Hold on. So now I go through life with this anger and animosity towards myself. I'm angry at me. And by that, I want to tell you, there is not a person in this world. Again, I think maybe you're too young to relate to this yet. But as you get a little older, There's not a person in this world who does not struggle with this dynamic. I could myself go ahead and think about 5 different occasions where I was at a crossroads and I chose the wrong way. And like big stuff. I don't mean like in a very, like life decisions. Life decisions. And I know I should have chosen differently. But I chose wrongly. It's me. All me. And so we carry our negativity towards ourselves. So we have these 3 buckets of negativity. Negativity towards other people because maybe they've hurt us. Negativity sometimes towards Hashem, Rahman al-Islam, because sometimes, again, I feel like He hasn't come through for me. Negativity towards myself because of my failures. And what happens when you go through life schlepping this negativity? What does it do to you? What does it do to you? It just fundamentally weighs you down. It weighs you down. You just can't move. Maybe you could relate to this. I'm going to tell this from a parent perspective. And then what happened? And you could relate to maybe from a child perspective. I know that sometimes when we've gone on a family vacation, it's always such a great idea, like in the planning stage, right? Everything is great, it's going to be beautiful, wonderful. And then I'll tell you when I begin to have significant second thoughts. Generally, if it requires a plane ride, right? You get on the plane, and what happens? You have all of this luggage, right? And there's the carry-ons, and there's the this, and then Miras Hashem one day you'll see, and the children, and what happens? You're getting on the flight, and the overhead bin, and you can't get this, you can't get that, this, the snacks are here, this or that, and you're schwitzing, and you're thinking to yourself, I can't believe, why do we do this? What were we thinking? What were we thinking? Right? And then the moment you finally shtup everything into the overhead bin, so then what happens? Somebody wants a snack. You have to get it back down. Everything falls out. You're getting dirty glances from this one and that one. Everyone's angry. And you're thinking, I should have just stayed home. And while you're struggling with your baggage, you ever fly and you see that person, that man or that woman, and all they have is like that little carry-on. Little carry-on, right? And it's like the size of a Ziploc. And it has their laptop and a change of clothing and a little bit, and they just walk by, right? And they walk up to the front of the line. They usually find business class. And they just walk in, and you're schwitzing and struggling and wondering why you ever put yourself in this matzav. And this person is just, they're comfortable, they're in their seat. They already have a glass of wine. The flight is a relaxing experience. It's an incredible metaphor for life. There are some people who schlep their baggage everywhere. And everywhere they go, there's 15 suitcases. There's the suitcase of resentment towards this one. The suitcase of resentment towards that one. The suitcase of disillusionment with God. The suitcase of disappointment in myself. And I take it with me everywhere I go. Everywhere I go. And says the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh something absolutely amazing. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. You have a choice. What can you do with your baggage? What can you do? Just leave it on the side of the road. Leave it on the side of the road. Let it go. Let it go. And I want to tell you something amazing. So I know what you're thinking. Let it go. So what's the strategy? What's the strategy for letting it go? There's no strategy for letting it go. It's just simply let it go. We're conditioned to think that in order to affect life change, who do I speak to, right? So who should I go to talk to discuss this leaving behind of my baggage? Which Rebbe, which Rebbe, which teacher, which person, who should I get a bracha from, right? Where should I go to daven, right? How many times do I have to say nishmas within 7 minutes in order to be able to affect this change? Sometimes in life, you could just make a decision to change. It doesn't require a therapist, and it doesn't require a Rav, and it doesn't require a Rebbe, and it doesn't require Kivrei Tzadikim, and it doesn't require a Bendela, and it doesn't even require Sefer Tehillim. All it requires is a conscious decision to live life differently. I'm not taking my baggage with me anymore. I'm done. Besides the fact that I'm just exhausted. I'm exhausted from schlepping around my stuff all of the time. I want to travel light. I want to be that guy in the airport with the Ziploc carry-on, right? Who's always, right? No, not a bead of sweat. Goes right to the front of the line, gets on, gets off. No, I want to be that guy. I want to start traveling light in life because it's too exhausting to schlep around all of the negativity. And goes, this is a choice. This is a choice you make. You can make the choice today. You can make the choice right now. You can make the choice to say, Hineni muchan umezuman, to offload my baggage of negativity. No more. No more. 1 second, but this person who wronged me didn't ask forgiveness. See, I want to tell you, one of the reasons we have difficulty unloading interpersonal negativity is because we often equate unloading of baggage, right, draining negativity, to forgiveness. And those are not the same thing. Forgiveness has to be earned. If somebody hurts me, there's a halacha. If somebody hurts me, they have an obligation to go ahead and ask me for forgiveness. And when they ask, I have an obligation to go ahead and grant it. I should grant it. But I don't have to necessarily forgive if somebody didn't ask for forgiveness. But even if there's no forgiveness, you can still let go of the negativity. You know, Dr. Abraham Twersky, has a great quote. He says, bearing a grudge is like allowing someone to live in your head rent-free. What do you get for it? Schlepping around. I'm not going to let go of the negativity, because if I let go of the negativity, then that shows that what Reuven did to me was okay. No, it doesn't. It just means that you're making a conscious decision to lead a better life, and you don't want to be slowed down by the negativity of feeling something bad towards someone else. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't give you the life that you wanted, or didn't give you the brachos that you think you deserved. Maybe you did deserve. You're right. It's hard. But I also accept that I don't understand the cheshbonos of the Ribono Shel Olam, and the world is so much bigger than me. So I could be angry at him, or I could just run into his arms. And it's so much better to run into his arms. It's so much better to have a sense of closeness, because that will be better for my life. And that'll be better for my mental health, for my physical health, and for my ability to accomplish. You can beat yourself up over your misdeeds, your missed opportunities, and your mistakes. You can. The difference just is that doesn't any better prepare you to seize ones for the future. Let go of the baggage. That's why the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says, that's why the Gemara says, we read the Tochacha at the end of the year, same way that Tochacha is behind me, I'm going to take all of my negativity and let it go, and let it be something of the past. Put it behind me as well. Now let's come full circle, because I know I'm out of time. Let's go full circle. So now we understand. Like Rav Victor Miller told me, I want to be successful in din. Rosh Hashana is a Yom Adin. How can I be successful in my Yom Adin? How can I be successful in judgment? What was the answer? Smile. Bring joy. Right? Be value added to the life of another person. But in order to do that, what do you first have to have? Simcha. And how do you find life simcha? Check your baggage. Actually, I take it back. Don't check it. Because if you check your baggage, it's still yours. You know how like by BW, like Southwest has like the check-in counters outside of the terminal, right? Just leave it on the curb. Don't even take it to the Southwest. Just leave it on the curb. Just leave it on the curb, right? Just leave it there and walk away. Imagine leaving all of that baggage. I see it. I turn my back on it. I'm going. Imagine how light you will feel. Imagine how liberated you will feel. Most importantly, imagine how much simcha you will feel. And the moment you feel that simcha in your neshama, in your heart, in your life, is the moment that you could share it with others. And the moment that you could share simcha with others is the moment ultimately again that you put yourself just a little bit closer to securing a favorable judgment. And now full circle. The Rambam told us that, right, 55 minutes ago we spoke about this, right? That the Rambam told us that we have to remember Averos year to year, right? Even if I did not commit the same Avera year to year, I still have to go ahead and remember it. Why? The Divrei Yirmiyahu said, why? Because if I remember the pain of the past, it helps sensitize me not to repeat the same mistakes of the future. Says the Divrei Yirmiyahu. There's one exception to this rule. And what's the exception to the rule? If remembering the sins of the past will weigh you down and make you feel negative about yourself, don't do it. Incredible. Because girls, the most important thing is to walk into Rosh Hashana b'simcha. You see, we're so used to having Yamim Noraim, right? We think, what's the litmus test of a successful Yamim Noraim? How do you know you're really having an incredible Yamim Noraim? Like, the more miserable I am, right, the better this is, right? Literally, I have not been happy for a month. Oh, wow. Since Elul, I have been a mess. Halig, it's incredible. It's not Halig, it's probably called depression, right? In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be b'simcha. Because think about it. Think about when you've accomplished the most in your life. No one ever accomplishes major things in a state of tsar. People accomplish great things in a state of simcha. The goal is to walk into Rosh Hashana light. The goal is to walk into Rosh Hashana floating. The goal is to walk into Rosh Hashana with a profound sense of simcha. And how do you establish that simcha? Get rid of your baggage. And sometimes it takes time, but it's okay. It's only Thursday. It's only Thursday. You have a couple of days. Imagine going in Sunday night. By the time of Hadlakas there, so imagine by the time that the Yom HaDin ends, I have no baggage. I let it all go. It's all behind me. There's still stuff I have to do tshuva for, but if you notice, by the way, that's why tshuva doesn't come till later. Right? Tshuva really begins like Tzom Gedalia. That's a Seres Yemei Tshuva, Yom Kippur, because Kadosh Baruch Hu understood before you could be in a state of mind to plan for a successful year ahead, you first have to let go of the baggage of the past. That's our avodah. The Ribono Shel Olam wants us to have a Rosh Hashana of simcha, a Rosh Hashana of lightheartedness, not lightheartedness like jesting or joking around, but a lightheartedness that comes because I'm not schlepping around any negativity anymore. This is our avodah. So we should be Zochem Yirtzeh Hashem as we spend the next few days of preparation. So first of all, to introspect and to identify our pockets of negativity, because we all have them. We should be Zochet to identify the pockets of negativity. We should find the strength to let go of them. Because it's funny how married people become to their negativity. Let go of it. Leave it on the curb. Walk away from it. Allow yourself to be enveloped with a profound sense of simcha. Use that simcha in the remaining days to lift up another Jew. Use your smile to put a smile on someone else's face. And in that merit, may each of us be zocha to aksir v'chasima tova. A year filled with incredible bracha, hatzlacha, kol mish'alos libeinu l'tova. And most importantly, a year where we finally see the actualization of the bracha that we have been davening for 2,000 years. That this should be the year of Meretz Hashem, the zchus of our collective simcha. That this should be the year of Geula, the year of the Beis HaMikdash, the year of Mashiach Imhira B'Yameinu. Amen.
Thank you. That is